Well guys, the Dodge Charger we've been waiting for is finally here, one with an engine. How's it going guys? Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the all-new Dodge Charger Scat Pack from a first-person point of view at Tail of the Dragon. Under the hood of the new Scat Pack is a 3-liter twin-turbocharged inline-6 that makes 550 horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque. Thanks to its standard all-wheel drive, that means 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds and a quarter mile in just 12.2. Now stick around to the end of the video because we're going to be drag racing this, launching it to 60 miles an hour, as well as testing out drift mode.
Yes, that's right. If we head over to drive modes and click on rear wheel drive, it sends 100% of the power, all 550 horsepower, just to the rear wheels.
The new Charger is a fantastic looking car. I wish we did have the R-Wing S-Duct that was on the electric version, but in order to fit that internal combustion engine, the hood needed to be taller. And we do have a nice 6-pack insignia on the hood. The new Charger is incredibly wide. In fact, it's exactly as wide as a Lamborghini Aventador, and it's 1.5 inches wider than the Charger Hellcat widebody, allowing for optional 305mm tires at the front. Some supercars don't even have 305s at the back, and this has it all the way around.
At the rear of the Charger Scat Pack, we have that Ring of Fire LED taillight, the split dual exhaust, but how cool is this? We actually have a hidden hatch. So if we click this button here, it reveals 133% more storage space than the previous Scat Pack. And if you fold the rear seats down, you get 38.5 cubic feet of storage, which is really impressive. Hopping inside, the new Charger Scat Pack reveals an incredibly nice interior. We've got these gorgeous bucket-style seats with a really cool pattern to them, optional carbon fiber and suede, and wraparound ambient lighting. Let's hop in. I love what Dodge has done with the interior of this. We have this wraparound ambient lighting that has 64 different color options that you can see during the daytime. Most ambient lightings are cool at night, but this is cool no matter what time of day it is. It just looks so classy. We've got a 12.3-inch touchscreen here. We'll talk more about that in a minute, as well as a massive 16-inch customizable display for the instrument cluster. Steering wheel fits great in your hands. You've got a pistol grip shifter that actually has this little almost trigger to it to shift it into drive. Stop start button right here. Now on the steering wheel itself, we have paddles mounted for the 8-speed automatic transmission that has a wet clutch that can decouple and send 100% of the power to the rear using that rear wheel drive button. Drive mode selector here on the steering wheel as well. If we double click that, it brings up custom mode. So it's kind of a shortcut. If we go to custom setup, you can change anything from propulsion, paddles, traction, steering, etc. Then we can change between the various different drive modes. As you can see, there's sport mode, custom, wet, and snow mode. If we go into that sport mode, you've got a 40-60 torque split and can go 100% rear wheel drive. You can also customize the instrument cluster. So if you go ahead and click the pages button right here, watch this. The screen has multiple different views to choose from navigation. Click it one more time, and we've got this very simplified look. I think that looks absolutely fantastic. Now for audiophiles, we have an 18-speaker, 914-watt upgrade. We also have an optional panoramic sunroof, and there is tons of legroom and headroom in the back seats for full-size passengers. If we go over to controls, attitude adjustment is what they call ambient lighting. As you can see, 64 different color options. Now it's in lime green. I mean, the sky is the limit in terms of the colors. I do like the way red looks. Now, if we go back here and go over to dashboard, we can bring up race options. Now, under race options, you can customize the launch control RPM. So we can make it 3,200. You can go higher than that or lower than that, which is pretty cool. There's also a line lock mode that locks the front brakes, but keeps the rear brakes free, so you can do giant smoky burnouts to warm up the tires at the drag strip. We even have a shift light indicator, which is pretty cool, fully customizable depending upon what gear you are in. There are so many fun things to play with in this car. Performance pages as well. You've got a really cool graphics for G-forces as well as the horsepower output, etc. All right, guys, let's take this out on Tail of the Dragon and see what it's like to drive. Behind the wheel of the new Dodge Charger Scat Pack at the very start of Tail of the Dragon. So let's go ahead and head into custom mode, custom setup, so we can program this the way we like. Propulsion is on sport, paddles are on, traction's on sport, steering is on sport. We can also customize the gauge cluster as well. I kind of like this layout. Now let's go ahead and pull off and see what this thing is like on the gnarliest road in the United States.
So we've activated the paddles on that 8-speed automatic. And honestly, the first thing you notice is how good this thing sounds. It kind of reminds me, in a way, of the G80 M3. But man, this thing actually rips. Now, considering this vehicle weighs 4,800 pounds, I had my concerns of what it would be like to drive on Tail of the Dragon, which is incredibly twisty, narrow, tight, and dangerous. But honestly, it does such a good job. That all-wheel drive system that comes standard puts the power down extraordinarily well. It is 34 degrees out. I mean, you can see snow on the road. We've got really tight, twisty corners, and it honestly feels at home here. I wish there was a bit more feedback in the steering, but in terms of being confidence-inspiring, I mean, you feel like you can absolutely rip this in a place that isn't suited necessarily for a 4,800-pound car, but it hides its weight very, very well. Visibility is fantastic as well, and I just love how that ambient lighting strip appears across the center console. It honestly reminds me of an S-Class a bit. So we've got a new 8-speed automatic transmission that shifts very quickly. The paddles are responsive, but I will say they're a little bit flimsy. They kind of had that issue with the last generation Hellcats and Scat Packs as well. I wish they were a little bit more substantial, but in terms of their response time, they are very, very quick. Now, this new 8-speed auto allows you to go into full rear-wheel drive mode, send 100% of the power to the rear wheels, all 550 horsepower, which is pretty darn cool. Let's go ahead and put it into sport mode using the drive mode selector right here on the steering wheel. So if we go ahead and put it into sport, which we are in now, it's got a 40-60 split, so 40% of the power is sent to the front axle, 60% is sent to the rear axle, and then when you're in sport, you can do 100% as well. Wow. Honestly, the brakes are really impressive as well. Massive 16-inch rotors up front, 6-piston Brembo brakes, and considering these are all-season tires, these aren't even super performance tires, I'm shocked at the level of grip. There's also very little body roll as well. We've got a multi-link suspension setup in the front and a fully independent rear suspension with a 4-link setup that allows for much better turn-in, much better steering response than the previous gen car. And we had a long drive over to Tail of the Dragon, better part of an hour and a half each way, and it's super comfortable. It's very isolated from the surrounding environment. You can't hear any road noise or tire noise, but at the same time you can hear the engine very well, which I love. Steering wheel fits great in your hands as well. The paddle placement is phenomenal. And everything you need to use is right there at the wheel, like the drive mode selector. And I also love how this pistol grip shifter feels in your hand. It's just really, really satisfying. The ergonomics of most of the interior is done extraordinarily well. These seats, I do wish in an environment like this, they held me in place a little bit better, but this is as extreme as it gets. I mean, the likelihood that you're gonna be ripping your Charger at Tail of the Dragon every day is probably pretty limited, but it is awesome that you can drive it really long distances, use this as a commuter car, and then rip it in twisty canyons. And I'm serious, I was very skeptical going into this, thinking, wow, that's a big car to take to a little twisty road that's, you know, more suited for a motorcycle or a Miata. But this actually feels right at home. Last time I was at Tail of the Dragon, I drove it in my McLaren 600 LT, and because that's rear-wheel drive and the better part of 900 horsepower, it was actually kind of horrifying. This, you just feel really comfortable. And I mean, it's only 34 degrees out, so the fact the tires are gripping is very impressive. It sounds good. And man, with the all-wheel drive, it puts the power down exceptionally well. And especially in first and second gear, the thrust you have is pretty impressive. Just kicks you in the back. In fact, it's only 0.3 of a second slower to 60, than the 797 horsepower Hellcat Redeye because of its all-wheel drive system. Now, what's really cool is the CEO of Dodge, I don't know if this is happening or not, but he hinted at the fact that the engine bay is in fact large enough to fit a massive V8. And could you imagine, this is my dream for this car, all right? Dodge, please. Another beautiful Scat Pack driving by. Supercharged 6.2 liter Hemi V8 with a manual transmission. This is such a good looking car, and if you put one of the ultimate powertrains in it, imagine how insane that would be. I'm just saying. But the value proposition here is really impressive. At under $55,000, it is the highest horsepower car you can possibly buy under 55 grand. And then they're also coming out early next year with a standard output version, the RT with 420 horsepower, which is the highest horsepower car under $50,000. So if you don't need all the added power, 420 horsepower is still a lot. You get the gorgeous interior, gorgeous exterior, and you save a little bit of money. Obviously, my vote is for the faster one, but you'll be good either way. And it just feels like such a livable interior. I think they knocked it out of the park with this interior. The build quality is fantastic, and the design language. Whoever designed this interior deserves a huge raise because it just elevates the experience behind the wheel by a large degree. That wraparound ambient lighting with 64 different color options to choose from is really, really awesome. I'm impressed with this. The brakes work well. Massive, massive 6-piston front brakes, 4-piston rear Brembo brakes. It's got plenty of grip, limited body roll, and it's very, very comfortable. What a road. This is actually ridiculous. All right, so I'm gonna let you listen to this without me talking so you can hear that silky smooth twin turbocharged inline 6. Let me talk about the engine real quick and then we'll move on to the sound clip. And then after that, we'll take it to the drag strip. We'll also put it in rear wheel drive mode and drift this thing. So you've got two large 54 millimeter Garrett turbos that are super low inertia, so they spin up really, really quickly. And they create up to 30 pounds of boost, which is a lot. And I imagine because you've got forged aluminum pistons, you've got forged steel connecting rod, forged steel crankshaft, that you can boost this thing significantly above 550 horsepower. With an aftermarket exhaust and a tune, I imagine you could get to 650 pretty easily without any problems. Now, obviously don't quote me on that and you'll lose your warranty, but that's probably one of the first things that I would do. All right, I'm gonna be quiet now and let you experience Tail of the Dragon first-person point of view in the new Dodge Charger Scat Pack. In addition to the two-door coupe, there is also a four-door variant available as well for $2,000 more. Now, this is the electric Daytona, so it gives us a good look at that S-duct, the R-wing pass-through that I was talking about earlier in the video. You have the same head and legroom, but it's easier to get in and out of the rear seat environment, obviously, in the four-door. Pretty impressive amount of space back here. Panoramic glass roof, USB-C ports, even heated seats in the back. Made it to the drag strip now, so to warm the tires up, we're gonna go into line lock that locks the front wheels and allows us to do a burnout in rear wheel drive mode. So we've activated line lock, you apply brake pressure, I press and hold OK right here. I can release the brakes, so that's holding my brakes, and then I can floor the gas. That is amazing.
Little brake. Oh yeah.
So now we're gonna put it back into all-wheel drive mode in order to launch it. And it has a variable launch control setting, which is pretty cool. So in race options, you can actually adjust the launch control RPM. We found 3,200 is pretty good, but you can drop it down to 2,200 if you're getting wheel spin. Let's see how this thing launches. The cool thing is if you go over to performance pages, you can then see all of your 0 to 60 times, your quarter mile times, eighth mile times, etc. Zero to 60 in 4 seconds when it's 44 degrees out is pretty darn impressive. So how awesome is this? We are out at an open parking lot getting to experience drifting the new Charger Scat Pack. So we're gonna put it in sport mode, rear wheel drive, traction control is fully off. We're gonna put it into manual mode and get to actually drift this car. So you've got the benefit of all-wheel drive for inclement weather, and on the tail of the Dragon, it was really nice for some extra confidence. And then you can put it in rear wheel drive for some fun smoky burnouts. You know what? This car is really easy to freaking drift.